parties on campus, no. So if I want to go to a party, I'm gonna go off campus.
But see, it's like Princeton is just like Princeton. Like
That's
I wouldn't
facts.
expect Princeton to have good parties. Like no one's like, oh, let's go to Princeton and go to a party. Like that's just so.
That's true. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, my name is Gabby, and I make content about college scholarships and keeping it real. And today we're going to be keeping it really real and talk about college, everything from living situations to food to dating. We're going to get into it. And today I have a special guest with me, and her name is Anya.
Hello.
Okay, period. Yeah, Anya makes her own videos. I'm gonna link her YouTube channel down below. Everything from hair, beauty, lifestyle, fashion, you want it, she got it, period. Okay, so boom. Okay, what about the food? What was your food situation like? How was the food at school? Did you have to cook for yourself? What restaurants were around you?
What? So the calf was trash. The first, okay, this is the thing. So when I first got to college, the food was good to me. Because I'm just always, I like to eat. So having access to food on a regular basis, I was so excited. And the food, for the most part, okay.
Oh, it's popular.
I know. Okay. So, back to what I was saying. I was super excited because I'm like, yeah, like I have access to all this food. It's going to be lit. Da-da-da-da, right? And after a while, I got really tired of the food. I'm like, this is really disgusting. I think it's because there wasn't really much variety on campus. We had Chick-fil-A, like most campuses do, and Chick-fil-A's canceled now, so
yeah, they're racist, they homophobic, everything, but they chicken tastes good. I'm not even gonna sit here and cap
now because of like the things that have been going on. I don't even want to I'm not even pressing them no more. There's other options,
and they're mad expensive.
They're not. I don't think they're that expensive. Because especially with the rewards.
Oh, I didn't do the rewards program.
I have the rewards program, so I always get free stuff from that.
That's something I've been slacking on. There are a lot of rewards for college students, especially that I did not know about.
No, trust me. Chick-fil-A is not that expensive. I think McDonald's is more expensive than Chick-fil-A.
Them prices be adding up. Like today we had McDonald's and the order came out to $10. I got a 2 for $3, and then 2 medium fries, and then that coffee, and I'm like $10.
No, McDonald's is really expensive. So for sure we had Chick-fil-A, Wendy's, of course. Wendy's I love. They just built a Panda Express on campus.
Panda Express is trash. Their meat is good, but their noodles and their rice disgusting. Wow. Tastes like rocks.
Okay. We had that. We had Subway. Subway's trash.
The Italian BMT is fire. Heated with Italian bread.
But see, the thing is, like, I feel like we did have options, but there's not a lot of healthy options on campus. Like, for like 6 months, I was on this whole healthy journey. Now that I got back home, I'm not even.
Define healthy. Like, what did you change?
Like, I was trying to, not eat as much meat. I was trying to ingest more greens and veggies and all that stuff. Eat fruits. But it was just, I don't know. We didn't have much options. FAU's meal plan option is trash. See, again, when you're leaving high school, you get excited because, oh my gosh, like, we have everything. And then once you're at a particular school for a while, you're like, yeah.
You get over it real fast. And spending money on food, that adds up. Like, if you want to eat out every couple times a week, 2-3 times a week, that can easily become $30 a week.
And that's why I think it's important to cook, because if you can get a dorm with a kitchen, I think that you can kind of finesse. You can definitely finesse, because if you spend maybe $50 a week, maybe not even $50, that's not gonna get you much. If you could spend like $50 to $75 a week on groceries, that's a lot better than you going to McDonald's every single day for this.
That's true.
So
I'm kind of glad we don't have any fast food restaurants around us, because Princeton is very much a bubble. Like, what's there is what's there. We have Nassau Street, which has restaurants, but they're mad expensive. So I don't really eat out that much. But the problem is I eat the same thing every day. I eat chicken and I eat fries.
And you get tired of that after a while.
So tired. Like, I will not even go to the dining hall because I don't want to eat. I feel like it's the same thing every day. And yes, there are different dining halls that I could eat at on campus, but I just feel like the food is not good. And I think I was honestly spoiled at home. Like, my mom cooks like real Jamaican food. Chef's kiss. Now I get here, I'm in a dining hall. The jerk chicken does not look like jerk chicken.
Right.
So I'm very confused. I feel like that made it harder for me to eat college food because everything just tasted different than what I expected.
They don't season stuff, and they obviously can't season like you would like them to because some people have health issues and they can't have a lot of salt or excessive amounts of sugar in their food. So it's like, I get it, but dang, like.
But it's interesting because some parts of the things that are in the dining hall were very like catering to people who, I don't know, who want more healthy things. Like our sugar, I don't know what type of sugar it is, but it's like low fat, low this, low that. I'm just like, where's the regular sugar? Like, why we can't have no regular sugar? Like, I understand.
Or like give y'all the options. Like,
exactly, I understand it's important to have healthier options, but if
don't
you
let that be the only option there.
Exactly, that's foul. That is foul.
Girl.
Yeah, because if we had McDonald's, I would have been getting me a caramel frap and fries almost every day. I love a caramel fry.
But see, you're in Jersey and you're by
That's
New York.
true.
You have like, if you want, and the other thing too about being up north is you can take public transportation and go anywhere you want to go. So maybe one weekend you might want to just go get Jamaican food. You right in New York.
That's
New York
true.
is like.
But it's true, like New York definitely is close. I've definitely been going to New York a lot more my sophomore year. But that's still an hour and a half train ride. And then I have to get off campus. Like, when I tell you Princeton is like just Princeton is a bubble. Like,
around Princeton.
Well, I mean, there's another side of Princeton, but where our school is very much just the university and then $1 million houses. That's why everything is so expensive. It's very suburban. Not a place for a college to be because we're not even really surrounded by other colleges. Like, there's Rutgers, and NC and J, other college universities, but they're not accessible walking distance or anything like that. You need a car, and we can't really have cars on campus, so you're mad lonely.
I didn't know you was so far from New York.
Yeah, but I be taking that trip because I want some food, I want things to do. I just need to get off campus to be sane.
Food with seasoning and culture.
Exactly. And then parties too, like the parties on campus, no. So if I want to go to a party, I'm gonna go off campus.
But see, it's like Princeton is just like Princeton. Like,
That's
I wouldn't
facts.
expect Princeton to have good parties. Like, no one's like, oh, let's go to Princeton and go to a party. Like that's just so.
So, how have your roommate situations been, and what is your perspective on living with other people in your space, especially in college?
I think it's very important to live in a single because clearly a lot of people do not have home training at all. A lot of people grew up not really having to clean up, or maybe their parents always did that for them. I'm Caribbean, so I'm really like, I grew up having to clean and do all this stuff, so like living with people who were not really accustomed to doing that was a really big adjustment for me. And because I'm an only child, to have my own room to myself and being by myself on a regular basis, it was really tough to deal with.
I guess
So I've lived with a lot of nasty behind people.
Okay.
So
no, not even just cleanliness, because that's a big thing for me. Like, I'm not necessarily unclean, but I definitely can get messy, especially during the times when it's finals or midterms or I'm just really stressed. But if I live with somebody else in my room, I'm not gonna let my room get all wonky.
because you don't want
crazy.
nobody talking about you, talking about
Exactly,
oh, she dirty,
exactly.
So yeah, like you might not really be on point as much as when you're at home with your parents. But when I'm living with other people, I make up my bed every time I get up. Like I don't leave no dishes in the sink. Like I'm always on point with certain things because I don't want nobody to complain about, oh, like
you don't give them a reason to talk about you.
Exactly.
Because they will talk about you.
Very much so.
Yeah, but even like aside from the cleanliness part, like sometimes I'm visualizing myself as I'm walking back to my dorm. Okay, I'm gonna go back to my dorm. I'm gonna chill before my next class. Or I'm just gonna decompress, or I just want some alone time. And you come in your dorm and it's somebody else there.
Yeah.
That is the easiest way to blow your mood. Like, sharing your space, you're never really gonna feel free in your own space because you don't know when your person, like your roommate, is coming through the door, and then you might want to chill, but they'll text you. Sometimes they don't even text you, they'll just have their friends in the dorm or whatever. You're just like, well, I just wanted to relax, I just wanted to watch my show, but it's a kumbaya in here, and I don't really want to be a Debbie Downer. I don't want to be, because you're sharing a space with them, so you don't want to be like, no, I don't want this, because y'all both living in the same space. But
and the thing too, like, I do recommend, if you can, try your best to try to set boundaries in the beginning. Communication is key, because one of my biggest downfalls was like I didn't really communicate certain issues with them. I kind of just like lived in, I basically just suffered in silence kind of thing. So like I said, if you can, try your best to, like, you know, say like, listen, like, after this time, like, I don't want any noise, or if you're gonna bring people over, communicate that with me beforehand so that I can mentally prepare myself to know that, okay, people are gonna be in the room. Just little things like that, because if you're not telling people what they're doing wrong, they can't really like know. So I do think it's a very big important thing that you should do.
That's true. And having it in writing too. God forbid you have to take legal action, have a contract that everybody in the room signs. Because that shows that they were aware of, oh, this is the time that y'all both agreed that it's not going to be noise after this time. This is the schedule that we set up for cleaning the bathroom, this and that. Because people love to act oblivious when it's them in the wrong. They'll be like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Or they're trying to make it seem like you're asking too much of them. But you signed this thing in the beginning. And it's so much easier to put your foot down in the start, as you were saying.
But it's tough because these RAs don't do anything either. You do the whole roommate contract, where, you know, y'all will write in paper like, listen, we agreed that we're going to clean the bathroom every 3 days, for example. Those RAs, they're just there because they're our age too. So they're not really going to like work as hard to try to mediate the situation because they have other things going on as well. So I don't know. I mean, you have a point, but at the same time, these housing departments don't really do much about situations like that. And like, I know some schools do it where like you can fill out a survey so that you can, you know, be matched with people who have similar interests as you and things like that. But my school doesn't do that. So every person I've gotten matched up with, I've hated. So
yeah, no, our school did that. Like, Princeton gave a survey in the beginning, and they were like, oh, what do you want? Like, how many roommates do you want? What are you interested in? What's your sleeping schedule like? Blah, blah, blah. I filled it out. They gave me the complete opposite. Like, that's just there, I feel like, for convenience, and they try to do as best as possible. But at the end of the day, there is a lot of, like, politics that goes into choosing your roommate. Like, of course, I wanted somebody who was black, or at bare minimum, a person of color, and I got 3 white people. They can't like group together all the people of color, because then somebody might be like, oh, that's segregation or this and that. But then cultural differences are also really important, because I feel like if I lived with another Caribbean person, like, I wouldn't have ran into some of the problems that I had
with the white roommate.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying that, you know, all white roommates are going to be dirty, or they're not going to do what they have to do on their end, but
it's a difference in culture.
Yeah.
Like, even, I feel like the most apparent thing with that was just bringing people into the space and taking the shoes off. Like, my roommate would have her shoes in the bed, and she would have her shoes in our actual dorm, because we had the 2 rooms. Like, I lived in a quad, so it was 2 rooms, and then, but there was a common space, and I would take my shoes off in the common space. I'm not taking my shoes into my room, but she would have the shoes in the room. And for me, that kind of made me a little bit uncomfortable, but it's a different culture. It's a different way of living.
People are brought up differently, so that's
true.
Another thing that you have to take into consideration as well.
Yeah, long story short, if you could avoid having a roommate, you should. I definitely avoided it my sophomore year, but I had to sacrifice space, because my dorm, my sophomore year,
the singles are very small.
It was 101 square feet. I could not even breathe in that room. And Corona is definitely terrible and all that, but I'm so glad it happened, because I was suffocating in there, and I definitely would have went crazy by the end of the year.
Right.
Okay, so boom. We both go to PWI. So when you were choosing which college you wanted to go to, did you have any HBCUs on your list, and why did you ultimately end up not choosing any of them?
So the 2 HBCUs that were on my list was Spelman and on Howard. And I ended up not going to Spelman because halfway through our senior year, I decided I didn't want to do engineering anymore. Spelman didn't offer my major, and then Howard had offered me a significant amount of money. Then they offered me like $40,000 a year, but it still was not enough because you still have to pay for housing. Tuition's still super expensive at a private school like that. I was like, I can't really bother.
And you go out of state.
I'm going out of state too, so I have to pay for it. A plane ticket, all these other things, all these other factors, and that wasn't my thing. So I ended up deciding on FAU or Florida Atlantic University, and for me, Florida Atlantic University offered me the most scholarship money out of all the schools that I applied to. It covered most of my expenses, and for me, I want to have financial freedom when I graduate college. So if I can avoid loans, I'm going to try to do it as best as possible. And my other thing as well was like, I felt like FAU was the most diverse campus that I've ever stepped foot on out of all of the schools that I was interested in going to. So I feel like it had a great mix of black people, white people, Hispanics, and all that other stuff. Because for me, we both went to
basically
predominantly
HBCU.
Black schools our entire lives.
Yeah.
So that was something that I was trying to keep in mind as well. Like, yeah, it's important to go to HBCU. However, I think that if you're someone who's gone to a black school your whole life and you go into a HBCU, it might not really prepare you for the real world, because the real world isn't like that. You're gonna be working around white people. Like, that's just what it is.
And you're gonna be meeting different black people too, because it's not like there's not black people at Princeton. Like, I mean, it's only 7% of the school. Definitely could be a lot more, but most of the black people that I encounter have been drastically different than the black people I'm used to at home.
That's another thing as well. So I don't know. I don't really feel like an outsider at my school. Like, I know some people that I know talk about how like they're the only black person in their classrooms and things like that. I don't feel that way. I'm super comfortable on campus. Even just the staff, a lot of the staff there are very mixed. So I have black professors, I have white professors, I have Hispanic professors, I have Asian professors. Like, it's just, I just like the vibe on there, and I didn't feel like, I was gonna get lynched or anything on campus. So
no, that's important though. Wait, what things do you do on campus do you feel that make you really comfortable? Like, do you feel like the major or the programs that you're involved in allow you to have that comfortable experience, or that's just like representative of FAUs?
I mean, one thing I do appreciate with Florida Atlantic University is the fact that my classes aren't that big. So it's very easy to like build a relationship with the people who are in your class. That's number one. And number two, I feel like it's a lot easier to learn in a smaller environment. If most of your classes are like over 100 kids, it's kind of hard to like get that one-on-one attention that you need from your professors.
And it low-key makes you not want to go to class some days either, because if they're not going to notice you missing in a class of like 200 people and you want to get a little extra sleep one day.
And plus the thing is too, when your classes are smaller, your professors know your name. So if they see that you're always trying and things like that, I feel like they might, work harder to like, they might try to work with you more, as opposed to like if you're in a class with 300 kids, it's just like you're another number to them. So that's one thing I liked about FAU. But again, it's all up to you on where you want to go, because there's a lot of other factors that do contribute to whether you decide to go to this school or the other school, or
I feel like that's a big misconception too, especially in high school. Like, our teacher would tell us, your college professors are not going to be like understanding this and that.
They're very understanding.
Exactly, because they're people too. They have their own lives. Like, sometimes they can be the most unprofessional people ever. Like, they'll email y'all like 20 minutes before class, I got a late today, or the train stopped working or something like that. Here's the work for today. Boom, class is canceled. And of course you do have some professors who aren't like that. Like, they're very strict.
But that's why it's important to use Rate My Professor, because I will have class every day just so that I can get the good professors for that subject. I don't have time for no foolishness. So like there's times too where like you don't really have many options. But I've had people too who were like, they had really bad reviews, but I ended up having a really good experience with the professor too. So it's all like, I don't know, it all depends.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm very cautious when I take like word of mouth. I don't know, that's mainly what I use, but I do rely a lot on reviews aside from what I had to get done for my major or for like college in general. But if somebody tells me that professor is bad and I feel like we have the same interests, we kind of are on the same level in terms of writing or reading or the way we interact in class,
you might take it like, okay,
yeah,
that shit.
And you guys, I think every school has like an add drop period where you could shop around your classes and such. I go to all the classes that I want, and then I suss out the professor for myself, because somebody could tell me they're really good and then they could start talking and I'm just like, I don't really like, it's just not for me. And that's perfectly fine, because I will drop a class no problem.
Because there's some people who complain about a professor, but it's just like they're probably lazy.
Exactly. Or they're mad about a grade. Like, people can be mad petty and then let their own personal problems be a reflection of other people. Like, you gotta find stuff out for yourself.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, like, you still have to put in the effort to get those grades that you want to, you know.
And you're not gonna like every professor. Like, that's so unrealistic. You're not gonna like every person that you come across as a student in life, period. So you shouldn't let, like, oh, people saying they don't like one professor or they don't like one class dissuade you. You're not gonna like everything in life.
Right. Period.
Okay.